Good morning. I would like to introduce a speaker for today on behalf of Andy Nelson, since he's not here. Roman Skorzus is our speaker for today, and he probably doesn't need much introduction. But anyway, Roman is from Germany and decided to take an adventure in the Philippines for his master thesis under Dr. Andy Nelson, working on the rice mapping using radar technology. And part of his work also looking into the social economic studies of the places visit in Leyte, Philippines. So, so if you have any, hopefully you save some good questions for Romans after the presentations. And otherwise, I have his detailed information, email, Skype, so you can contact me. All right, Romans, go for it.
Yeah. Thank you, Sven, for introducing me. Yeah, as Priya said, I'm Roman Skorzus. I studied in I didn't study microphone engineering, but I studied in Berlin for geography as a bachelor's, and now I'm studying geoinformatics in Jena. It's a small university in Germany. Okay, I hold it, no problem. Like a singer, like Justin Bieber or something, no problem with me. And I'm here in the Philippines to have an internship with the GIZ, the Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit. It's more or less development cooperation. And I'm also a research scholar for the IRRI. And today I want to present you how to combine the IRRI work and the... Yes. Yeah, for me it's everything. I want to present you how we can combine the work of the IRRI, for example, radar remote sensing of rice areas in combination with microinsurances from the GIZ for the Philippines. And that's why my topic is just only mapping rice areas, but I will also present some insights to microinsurances. This is my outline for today. First, I want to present the RISE project with 2I. It's about microinsurances for Asian countries, for rice farmers. I shortly want to make you familiar with this topic. And then I want to present you how we mapping rice areas with radar remote sensing, how it is working. Just an example and very simple so that everyone, also me, can understand it. I show you my methods and my validation for my map. And then a shortly social economic survey of rice farmers in Leyte. And then my recommendations for the project. And of course, let's say a short conclusion. I think you as a Filipinos, I don't need to tell you that rice is very important for the world and the most important staple food in the world. And of course, you know that a lot of poor people live in Asia, and especially them, they need rice for the daily nutrition. But also they have a very big vulnerability to environmental and social risks. So in Asia, for example, in the Philippines, we have a lot of people who need social protection and, for example, insurances. And for this reason, we try to monitor rice areas because, in particular, rice farmers need a very good protection for the state social security. Because here I will show you some farmers' risk. I mean, you all know it, but just to make it clear, it's flood. When the rice areas are flooded, the harvest is in danger. Also for drought, or lack of irrigation, and of course pests and diseases. It's a very big problem I experienced in my field work. So why we monitor rice areas? Of course, it's not only about that we want to see where is rice. No, we want to see the quality of rice. For example, we want to see we want to predict the yield of the rice. For example, with radar remote sensing, I will show you later how it's going. And all in all, we can have a lot of advantages when we monitor rice areas. For example, greenhouse gas emissions or the risk management. Because when we know where is rice, we can say which fields should be protected or which fields should be monitored. So that's why the GIZ started the RISE project. It's called Remote Sensing Based Information and Insurance for Crops in Emerging Economies. Nice title, very long, that's why we do it in RISE. And the duration is 2012 to 2015, and it's funded by the STC, it's a Swiss development corporation, so we are handling the Swiss money. And the research and development is made by IRRI, you know it, of course, and SAMRAP. SAMRAP is a Swiss remote sensing company, and the management is made by GIZ, so the development corporation from Germany. It's similar to STC, and the Allianz Re, you know, it's an insurance company, in this case, a reinsurance company. Here I will show you which partner is doing what. SAMRAP, the company from Switzerland, is doing the map, we're providing the RISE area maps of the Philippines and several Asian countries based on the Sentinel satellite. It's just a name, just keep in mind. The IRRI is doing the yield modeling with their IRRI 2K model and getting the leaf area index. This is a vegetation index for when you want to see how big is the biomass, or when you want to correlate biomass with, for example, yield. And the GIZ Allianz are managing the project and giving their knowledge, and the STC has a big task to get to provide the money. The project goals are, we want to create a microinsurance for 5 million rice farmers. It's a very ambitious goal, but I hope we can do it in the next 3 years, or they will do it. I'm not any longer intern in the GIZ, so I'm only for I'm an IRRI stuff, yeah, I'm one of you. And our target areas are India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines. And for these countries, we want to predict the yield of the rice fields and to create a microinsurances based on this yield. I will show you later how it's working. And therefore, we're using these satellites. It's not important, these are satellites. The funny thing is, the NVSAT and the Pulsar are already dead, so we cannot use them. We're only using them. So CSK is Cosmos SkyMap, and from next year, hopefully, we are using the Sentinel satellites. And yeah, that's more or less the project goal. The insurance scheme, just to keep in mind, I'm a geographer, I'm not an insurance expert, but the current approach of insurance is, if we have an event, let's say a storm, we have to assess it, we have to appeal it, and then we get in the funding and aid. It can take months or weeks. So it's a long time for poor rice farmers, or not only poor rice farmers, but for families who need social protection. But with our new insurance, we have the monitoring before, because we have for each day we can say how much yield, or maybe how much yield is on the field. So when there's an event, we know before, or when we know which fields are affected, we can say, okay, so many rice is damaged, and this is the amount how much the payout must be. So the chain of direction chain is smaller, it's shorter, and hopefully faster. But the new rice insurance is based on on an ongoing insurance. It's called RB. It's area-based yield insurance. How it's working, I want to explain you. Let's say this is a municipality with rice areas. Yeah, you see, I've created 10 fields. Let's say this is all rice areas. It's really very ideal and optimistic, but let's take this. And the RB insurance is based on an 80% trigger. So let's say we need 20% of damage for this area to have a payout for the rice farmers. So let's say when we have a loss of 10%, the rice farmers are getting nothing. Oh, by the way, let's say we have hundreds of rice farmers here, and all rice farmers have the insurance. So insurance is based on the area of the whole insured area. So let's say when we have a loss of 10%, and let's say all these rice farmers losing everything, nobody's getting money. Why? Because the loss is only 10%. But if we have a loss of 25%, all rice farmers are getting money for the 5%, about the 20%. You know, we have 20% loss, so we're reaching the 80% trigger, and for 5% they're getting a payout. Or more of this, if we have a loss of 40%, they're getting a payout for 20%. This is how RB works. Why are we using this approach? Because for the Philippines, we have the national irrigation systems. This is a system where the irrigation canals are going in, going through the municipalities, for let's say, and these areas are well monitored for the last 20 years, and we have a time series of the yield. So we have an average yield for the last 20 years, and when we see that the yield is below 80% of the last 20 years, the farmer is getting a payout. So, and we're using this scheme because we have the data. This is very important because you know better than me that it's sometimes very difficult to get data. And for this area we have the data, so we use this for the insurance scheme. And for the next rice insurance, we want to take this approach to get the yield of these areas with remote sensing. Why? Because at the moment, at the end of the season, a lot of people are going into the areas and have a sample of the loss in the last season, like for storms, droughts, or what else. And this is of course expensive and it takes a long time. When we're doing this with remote sensing, we have every day information how much yield is on the field and how much is lost. So it should be faster. But now, how is remote sensing working? I try to explain you. My goal today is I will present you how rice area mapping works, then which information we can from the data, and how to validate my results. Keep in mind that this is a rice seed. You know it better than me. I mean, in Germany we don't have rice, so rice fields here in the Philippines were my first rice field. I was very surprised. But you know, from the soaking and transplanting, the plants are growing, so the biomass is increasing. This is very important. See the next step. Here are some pictures, you know, flooded fields in the near of the IRRI test fields. Small rice plants, bigger rice plants, very big rice plants, and almost ready to harvest rice. So this is a development. Yeah, it's not new for you, but just keep in mind that the biomass is increasing. And when we are using remote sensing, we are looking on the Earth. We are taking pictures of the Earth. I mean, you all use Google Earth. I'm very sure everybody searched his house in Google Earth and was surprised. Hey, the neighbor, his roof is yellow or blue. So you all know it. And we are also using this. And in general, remote sensing is we measuring the reflectance of energy from the Earth, from the sun or from active radar devices. And we can see vegetation, soil borders. I mean, you know it. There are two kinds, or let's say there are two kinds of remote sensing, optical and radar. Optical is this, what you see in Google Earth. It's very nice. The sun is shining, you see the houses. But I think you know, when there are clouds, you see nothing. You see the clouds. Very nice, very beautiful, but not useful for us. That's why we are using radar remote sensing, because the signal of the radar remote sensing satellites are penetrating the clouds, and we can see what is under the clouds. And also in the night, you know, when it's night, you see nothing with normal satellites, but with radar remote sensing, you see everything. And the approach for radar remote sensing is that when the rice fields are flooded, and there's only water, the satellite see, let's say, nothing. What means nothing? The satellite sending a signal to the Earth, and it's like a mirror. The signal is bounced in another direction. So there's no backscattering to the satellite. And the satellite see only a black value, a black pixel. So let's say nothing. And the magic is, when the rice is growing, the signals are interacting with the plants, and a small signal goes back to the satellite, and we see something, a higher value, so that's why gray. And when the plants are growing more, the color is getting brighter. So we're using this for deriving the rice season. At the beginning with the sowing, when the fields are soaked, up to the flowering, when the biomass is very high. I will show you an example. This is an image from a small parcel of Leyte, and you see, look at this parcel here. It's red. You see, before land preparation, when there are herbaceous areas, we see something. It's gray. There's a biomass. And then the farmer is so smart that he's soaking the field, so we don't have anything. The color is black. The value is low. And then the rice is growing in the next month up to the harvest. You see the vegetative state, the peak is reached, and then the farmer is harvesting the rice field. And when we look at the value behind it, we can see the rice season. Before land preparation, soaking the fields, we're reaching the peak season, and then the farmer's harvesting the field. Wow, we can see it. Very nice. And when we're putting these images into one image, it's a color composite of 3 dates. So what we are seeing, the different colors, so the different rice stages at the time, at the moment of taking the images. And I will show you, for example, here it's irrigation canal, and what we're expecting, we can see which field is flooded. And the fields here which are blue, or let's say this kind of green, they were flooded first, or flooded, so is the right word. And you see that the water is going to the more areas which are more far away, and so we can see for every month which stage the rice is. And this is how rice mapping is working, because only rice areas show this behavior. I mean, sugarcane or maize or apples doesn't need a soaked field, you know. It will destroy the plants. So we can use this for mapping rice. And you see this map here. This is Leyte, and the green areas are the rice areas. And what we can do, I will show an example. Look at this. Some parts are getting green, and the green areas are the rice areas. So we have to maybe look at here. Here we have forest areas, and here the rice fields. And my classification for my data was, I would say, correct. See? Very nice. Okay. So we can map rice areas. And what we can, wait, no, stop it, please. What we can do with our data, when we know where the rice fields are, we can create statistical maps. Let's say the share of rice areas per barangay in Leyte. I took the barangay level map and calculated the rice area per barangay, and then compared it to the area of the barangay. And we can see that in the eastern and western part of Leyte, there are the, let's say, most important rice areas. Up to more than 75% of the area is rice. Maybe you're asking why these areas are green and maybe there's no rice there. There are mountains. So in the mountain areas, it's one reason is that there's maybe no rice, and another reason is that we cannot use radar remotes in mountainous areas for some physical problems. It takes too long to explain you, but I need also very little time to know why, but just keep it in mind. And now, before using this map, of course, we need to know if I'm correct or not. I need the accuracy of my results. So I went to Leyte for 1 month and went to several points. I call them clusters, because here you can see in each cluster are 16 points. And I transferred these points to a GPS and went to the points where the GPS is navigating me. So let's say I went to all of these points to look if there's really rice. I went to the point, or I tried to reach the point, look if there's rice or not. And then I noted a very easy approach. This was my questionnaire. Here you see the GPS coordinates, the name of the point, and then what the point observed, yes or no, the distance to the point, and then was there rice in the 50-meter radius or not. And if not, I noted the other land cover. Here you can see I was really in the field. I think you can see that I was standing in the rice field. Sometimes like this, and yeah, sometimes I have my difficulties because rice areas are more or less very wet. And I saw not only rice at the land cover, also like this or like this. So we had different land cover for Leyte. And here, this is my final result. Let's say the blue points. When you see a point here, I reached the point. And when the point is blue, it was correct. And it's not only correct when there's rice, where I expected rice, it's also correct when I thought there's no rice and I found no rice. And the point is red when I thought there's rice but there's no rice, or when I thought there's no rice and there's rice. So it was a hard time, and all in all, these are my results. For 161 points and 121 points, the information was correct. And for 34 and 29 respectively, it was not correct. and I visited all in all 345 points, and I had an accuracy of 82%. So for 82%, or in the case of 82%, I can say yes, there is rise or not. I'm sure for 82%. And the other land cover was in most of the case herbaceous, forest areas, or coconuts. In some village, I call it village because you know some houses, some plants, and maybe some children or something, and grasslands or streets. This was the mapping step. And now I will show, maybe it's more interesting for you, the interview survey with the rice farmers. My goal was for the IRRI farmers, so who bought the insurance in 2011, I want to know more about them, their location, because we have only a name and the barangay where they are living. I want to know something about their farming practices when they planted, transplanted, or sowed the fields, and I want to know if which kind of seed they are using, their chemicals and their fertilizer, and some personal information like their age, income, farming practices. That was my reason why I went there. And I used also my GPS to log the location of them, and I used a questionnaire and a translator for several languages, Visayan, Tagalog, or Cebuano. And I used the support of the municipality agriculture officer, so it's not the Mao from China. It's the staff from the provinces and the local government the local governmental unit. And they were very helpful. I can say it again and again when you go to Germany in the office and you tell them, hello, I'm from a very far country and I need your help to go to potato fields today. They will tell you, please make an appointment for in the next 2 years. And then but here in the Philippines, very helpful, yes of course, and we will help you. And I interviewed all in all 35 rice farmers, and I want to show you first the questionnaire. You can see I asked them for the irrigation date, the transplanting date, the harvest date. I'm honest, it was a little bit sure because I asked them for the last season, last year, and my experience is that rice farmers in the Philippines don't have a book where they wrote down, okay, May 21st, or I don't know. So they have to remember, and you know, when you're remembering what you did last year, it could be difficult. And also the yield, or the rice variety, or the field size. And then if they're using fertilizer, irrigation, which kind of chemicals, and if they have experiences with pests and disease. So more pictures. This was me talking with the rice farmer. This was my translator, and the relaxed boy here is the driver. And you can see the local the municipality agriculture officers were interested in my work. So I see interested faces. So I think I provided the message about my job there. This is another example from Google Earth how I mapped the rice farmers there. It's not that easy that when I was here on this point that the rice field is here. No, this was my expectation, because in the Philippines, very nice, some rice fields are here, then here, then here, and you have the chance to go to the rice field and then you see what's happening. I'm standing in the mud. Or I thought, okay, I take the average position. So this is not the real position of the rice farm, but it is more or less. I mean, it's okay for my purpose. Now I will present you some statistical data, the age of the rice farmers. I'm 26 and I can say they are old. Old for rice farmers. I don't want to blame here anyone, but I thought for rice farmers it's a very hard job, and I think 56 years it's a kind of old, because they started their job 30 years ago in average. And when I talked with the municipality agriculture officer, he said, who's doing this job in the next 20 years? Because their children going to schools, and this is a problem, because nobody wants to do this job. It's hard, it's exhausting, and the income is very low. So this is one of the problems. And here are some yield information. The average, I mean, these are the municipalities, but I think we should only consider the total results, because the statistical variability is too high. And I think this is a kind of, it's an impression, it's not statistically reliable, but I think 68 caverns per hectare are more or less good information, and the average kilogram per cavern is 46, so we have a yield in kilogram of 3.2 tons per hectare. please, I'm sorry for the points. Germany, we're using points instead of numbers. And this is for the wet season. It's from April to November, and this is for the dry season. And the yield is a little bit higher. Alice told me that maybe it's because of the higher solar radiation or better irrigation. So I cannot say why it's exactly so, but I think that solar radiation is a good argument. And these are the overview about the used seeds and irrigation. The most of the farmers are using inbred seeds, not hybrid seeds, just for one reason: it's cheaper. And I think also this is when you pay more for the seeds, you're not getting a better yield, especially in Leyte, where the irrigation is sometimes very weak. So inbred seeds are enough for the rice farmers, but all the rice farmers are using some kinds of chemicals, and most of the chemicals are insecticide and fungicide, and also they're using fertilizer. So it's not in the list, but all of the rice farmers are using fertilizer, and the span between the amount is between 50 kilos per hectare or 350 kilos per hectare. So it's very much. And all the farmers are using are experiencing pest and disease. For example, stem borer, leaf borer, and these creeping creatures. And I don't know if you know how a stem borer is looking. It's this larva. He or she is eating the rice plant from the inside. And for example, these are rice bugs. And this is it. So my general observations in the field were that farmers are organized very well in barangays. Yeah, they know their family members, they are their friends, but they are not organized in, let's say, a community of using the same inputs, using the same seed. Every farmer using another seed variety. I don't know, Picanto or M1 or what else. So it's not that they're buying the same seed and using them to save money or something. No, every farmer is, let's say, a single farmer. Although they are organized and friends and everything is fine, but this is a problem, I think, because this is a point where we can get more efficient. And also, they don't have a record. Yeah? They don't have a book. It was very difficult to ask them how much is your yield last year, or how big is your field, because they don't know, or they have to remember, and then the information is not reliable. And all in all, the farmers' structure is very heterogeneous. Sometimes, they're using no fertilizer, irrigation or no irrigation, so we don't have a clear picture of the situation there. And also the income. I talked with a farmer, he was very rich, had 10 hectares, wow, has a golden clock, and no problems with money. He said his income is 400,000 pesos a year. Wow, in some rice farmers it's only, I don't know, 20 per year. I don't have an opinion for this, what is correct or not. But all the farmers have other income sources, let's say a piggery, or they're working as a barangay officer, and they're still interested in insurances. And the farmers, when I talk with farmers which are not part of the IRRI customers, they were interested. They thought, yeah, what's about the insurance? I need it, and I would be happy. So I think there's a big potential, or high potential, for selling or providing insurances for them. So my recommendation is that when we try to provide insurances for them, we should use the word-to-mouth propaganda. You know, let's go into the field, tell the farmers what's going on and how the insurance is working. I mean, I'm a foreigner, and they trusted me a little bit. Yeah? When I would be a farmer in Germany, and there's someone coming who looks completely different than me and tells me about an insurance, yeah, I would say thank you. Thanks for coming. Take a coconut or something. But the rice farmers, they are still interested, and I think in advertising in the field makes a lot of sense, and new marketing forms. And I think we need a database of the farmers who buy these insurances. But because the GIZ provided only a list with the name and the location, but I mean, they don't have addresses or something. So I asked the LGU or the MAU, and they still know the farmers. So this could be a good tool to build a database. And I think the management of farmers at the barangay level is the most efficient way to handle them. Thank you for today.
Looks like we have plenty of time for questions. Thanks so much. That's very entertaining. Very educating also.
Yes.
The main purpose of your study, as I understood it, is eventually to see the possibility of introducing insurance for rice farmers.
You mean the main purpose of my fieldwork there?
Yes.
It was a mixture of 50% for validating my rice map and 50% for the work for the GIZ because they want to know what the situation is for their farmers. So it's not only the social aspect, it's also the validating the map. That's why I went to the rice field with my GPS. And on the same day, I interviewed some rice farmers.
So, because you also inquire about insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But did you also ask, say for instance, the MAU, if there's a current program wherein the government is involved, that they provide loans and at the same time insurance? Are you aware of that?
No.
Because there's a current program in the Philippines. Fortunately, there was a time when we also have an intern, Diana, who is also connected somewhat with Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And then she did some field work wherein we visited the barangay, wherein they have crop insurance, but it is attached to a loan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering if when you inquire to the farmer, you go further, ask, say, the MAU, if there's an existing program already within the area.
Yeah, maybe it's correct, but I know that the farmers are already customers of the RB, and I'm only interested in them. And the RB insurance is from the GIZ. It's a still existing insurance, so I wasn't interested in other insurances. I only want to know something about our farmers. You know, is this answering your question?
Yeah, because what I would like to derive at is, did you explain to the farmer how the insurance will work?
No.
So you said they are very much interested. So how can you say that they are interested when you haven't explained to them how it works, say the premium and how, like what you explained to us earlier, wherein my comment is that you did not explain about the premium, you just explained about the payout, but not the premium.
No. I explaining it's a strong word. When I was in the field and I went to the rice and I tried to take it with my GPS, some farmers are asking me, "What are you doing here? Why are you walking in my rice field?" And then I explained to them, I'm from the GIZ and I'm validating my map, but we have an insurance and insurance. And then he asked me something about it. It's not that I have a table and my computer and hello, Mr. Farmer, today I want to show you some insurances. It's just I explained very shortly what we are doing. And then they asked me for some more information. And of course, I'm not the person who is responsible for this, so I don't want to tell him more than I can promise, you know. This is what I mean with they are interested. And I mean, the premium and the payout is not important for when I'm standing in the field, totally sweated. So this is not very serious. But for example, the GIT has some events that they're explaining to farmers how insurances are working, and they playing like, let's say, games with like monopoly money, how insurances are working, because as far as I know, that the average education level of rice farmers is only in elementary school, and of course for us, we know how insurances are working, but not the rice farmers. So this is the first step, and yeah.
I just have a comment on your experience, the experience that you shared. You said you think that, or you observe that the farmers are very enthusiastic to know more about insurance, at least, you know, more like acquiring knowledge. I think it's because of your personality. Yeah, I think they find you very funny, very entertaining, you know. So any person who goes to the field, you know, with that kind of personality, people will be interested. Yeah, but reality check. You know, if you sell insurance, that's really hard. Even with the people who who have white collar job, even me, it's hard, for for a somebody to sell me insurance because that's a little bit what's this awkward for us because we're not used to insurances. So more so with the farmers, and these farmers, as you have noted, are mostly poor. So they will not be willing to invest in general, a little bit of their cash, for insurance, and something that's really quite hard to understand.
Yeah, of course. For example, some IRRI farmer told me, I had a loss last year, but I didn't receive money. And then I have to tell, yeah, but maybe your area-based yield insurance, the trigger was not reached. So farmers, some people think that when you pay for insurance, it's a guarantee that you gain money at the end of the season. But of course, it's not. And this, of course, I mean, the insurance is only, let's say, only 400 pesos per hectare for the season, and the payout is when there's a loss, 800 pesos per hectare. But of course, you need 20%, and this is one difficulty of the insurance, that you need a very big loss to get money, and the national irrigation systems are so big that you need a very drastic event like a storm or a typhoon before something before you have a loss. So this is a problem. And only I mean I had a list of 100 rice farmers, and they bought the insurance. It's not that thousands of people bought this insurance because it's difficult. But of course, yeah. But I wasn't a clown with you. I was doing a serious job here.
Any other questions? I have one question. Your area-based scheme for insurance, it seems like it will be influenced by how uniform the farming practice. Is there any intentions that this group perhaps will be moving towards creating a more uniform, and how that's going to impact socio-economic?
Yeah, this is a plan of the GIT that they tried. Some requirements for getting the insurance, but it's only for the long-term goal, that they're using the same seeds, the same inputs, that you can compare them. Because when you have farmers with a very good yield and farmers with a very bad yield, and you create an average, of course it's not correct statistically. So this is a long-term goal to create more uniform insurance, units. But of course, it's a hard work because only a few rice farmers are buying the insurance, and all the rest are using different seeds or different inputs. So this is not just.
Your area-based insurance, does the farmers apply individually, or?
Yeah. There are, let's say, several area-based yield insurances for each reference area. So you have, let's say, area 1, area 2, area 3, and you have for each area you have insurances, and all the farmers who are living or when their farm is in this area, they can buy this insurance.
But they have to apply at their personal level, individually.
Yeah. It's not a group or community or cooperative insurance.
Because you said a while ago that you find that Filipino farmers are not that well organized. They are organized in the barangay level, in the municipal level, but the farmers themselves are not organized. So maybe you are pointing to the direction that a prerequisite for effective insurance in the Philippines is having a good organizational scheme.
Yeah.
at the farmers level.
Mm.
Are you
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Yeah, of course. Because, for example, when you're thinking about the payout, I mean, who comes the money to the farmer? And when you have a very well based group of farmers, when they are organized, for example, in barangay, when you're not ensuring a group of farmers with a name, instead of you using you ensuring a barangay, you have a fixed administrative unit. So this is the first, let's say, contact point where you can find the farmers, or where you yeah, my brain performance is going down. I think in general, the farmers in the Philippines should be more organized. And my recommendation for this organization unit is a barangay, because they know the people in the barangay. There are the family members, and when you go to the barangays, you go to the barangay hall. When you try to find a farmer, they can help you, and this is important. It's not. Yeah.
But there's a problem with that because if you're familiar with our irrigators association, it's based on the canal and the irrigation system.
Yeah, of course.
While the barangay has its political jurisdiction, the canal doesn't have. So irrigators association cuts across barangay borders.
Yeah.
They are organized in such a way that they cut across different.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is a problem for the insurance, because on the one point the irrigation systems are not respecting the borders of the barangays, and the irrigation systems are too big to insure them, because you need a very high loss before they're getting a payout. And there are too many farmers. But the problem is with the barangay level that we can, from the remote sending point, we cannot get the yield information for each barangay because the area is too small and our error rate is too big. So we have only a yield information per municipality. But these are thousands of farmers and they are not uniform. So this is a very important point, that you find an insurance unit which fits to the needs of the farmers as well as the insurance point. From my side, I want to have an insurance for each farmer customized, that you can say farmer 1 has a yield of this, farmer B has a yield of this, but this is not possible from the remote sending side.
Any more questions? Looks like more questions on insurance. But, yeah.
You already mentioned that you are not an insurance person, but you know more than I do when it comes to insurance. So let's put it that. How is the premium computed? Is it based, because you were saying personally you would rather have a customized insurance for each individual, but it doesn't work that way, right? So what would be the area that I'm not really familiar at all with this agricultural insurance stuff? So how is it computed? How do they calculate the premium? Is it based on like the barangay?
No, it's based on the national irrigation system. In Leyte we have 3. It's in Ormoc, it's in the western part of the Alan, and somewhere else in Drilon. We have 3 irrigation systems there, and within these irrigation systems there are the insurance sold. And I don't know how the premium is calculated. I only saw a table that it's 800 for Ormoc, but I don't know how they calculate the premium.
Is it not tied up to the loan, to the agricultural loan? Because the one that I have encountered is that it is tied up to the agricultural loan and it passed through a cooperative.
So it's individually sold.
So it's individual with the farmer.
Yeah,
It's like a product.
yeah. It's not that they are organized in a cooperative. The cooperative is buying insurance, not that the farmer buys insurance for his field.
have a different topic of questions, not about insurance. You mentioned about 20% error in your estimation of area. 20%.
Yeah.
Can you give us some your speculation or hypothesis? What caused that misclassifications? Error of the model.
For example, on the one hand, the border areas between rise and non-rise, partly it's very difficult because this is a resolution of 15 meters. So each pixel is 15 by 15 meters. And of course, when there's a pixel, 50% on rise and 50% on, let's say, forest, the computer system has to decide if it's rise or not rise. Maybe it's correct, but it's not necessarily correct. Or when you're looking on these small patches, I mean, this is in the middle of the road, maybe in the village, and the spectral signature of the radar image is like rise, but it's of course not rise. And when I have a validation point here, of course it's not correct. And this is a reason for misclassification. And I would say you never, I mean, for you, the audience, with remote sensing, you never have a 100% accuracy. It's every time it's below 100. And but I had the same question. I mean, 80% room, 20% error. I wasn't very happy, but Alice told me that 80% in remote sensing is very good. So you never reach it. But I think when you have better resolution of the radar image, for example, 3 meters, what we are doing with the new satellite, then you're getting higher accuracy and not the mixed pixels with mixed spectral signatures. So this could be a reason. And of course, when you adjusting, so we're using a software to classify the rise areas, and when we adjusting some parameters in the software, maybe there's a better map. One more. And for example, some places are, for example, water, and of course they're showing a, let's say, flooding or soaked. It seems like a soaked field. And I had one cluster that was completely in mangrove area with some aquaculture for fish, and there is information it's rice. I don't need to go there because I only see water. So this is a reason why the map is not correctly 100%.
What is the acceptance level for the US?
For the insurance?
Mapping.
If we're talking about 1,000 hectares, that's 200 hectares of error. And that may involve 200 farmers.
Yeah, this is a question on which point you're standing. When you're on the research point, you are happy with more than 80%. But when you're looking from the insurance side, and you have a misclassification of 20%, and you want the yield information, you have a span of 20%. Of course, it's useless because then you have a payout or not, although there is no payout. So this, from the research point, wow, I'm happy. From the insurance point, forget it. Yeah.
Just a comment. Have you counter-checked your coordinates using Google Earth? I mean, have you zoomed over?
Yeah. But Google, are you using Google Earth only for visualization? I went there with my GPS, and I had an accuracy from the position of 5 or 6 meters. So Google Earth is just for the pictures.
Okay, but you can zoom. You can see that it's.
Yeah, but Google Earth is not that not correct that you expect. Of course, you see your house, but if the GPS point is exactly on this house, it's not a guarantee. And for example, I mean, in the field, I had my papers, my maps from Google Earth, and I saw a road. And I was standing in the field, there was no road. It was 1 kilometer on the other side. And I thought, yeah, maybe we can go here because there's a road, but no, we are standing in the grassland, and I don't know how to go there. So Google Earth is not that correct, what you're expecting. But in general, yeah, maybe you're asking me, when we have high resolution images of Leyte, why are you going there, going into the rice field when you can see the point and see if there's a rice field or not? yeah, because I cannot trust to do the Earth.
History, but
One last curiosity.
Last question.
How would the golf course look like under your remote sense?
Golf course?
Yeah. Yeah, it's greens and some little mud. So, will you miss? Is it something that could be easily mistaken as a
No, because a golf course is not so for 1 month.
great.
So the soaps that's a signature you see, right? Here. When the fields are soaked, this is a necessarily state. Otherwise, it's not working. We need a very low value for one time, because then we know there's water on the field and the backscatter to the satellite is low. And I'm not sure if the expensive golf course is soaked for 1 month.
Okay, let's give a big hand to our